Hi, afternoon, everybody. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a good day today. Just jumping in here, we've got a few minutes before we're actually going to get started. So just coming in to say hi and talk a little bit about what we're going to look at today. If you've just joined in, say hi. I like to always check that the sound is working. So if you can hear me, please let me know. I also like to check that the stream is working. Let me know that you can see me. If you're on Facebook, that is by leaving a comment below. If you're on YouTube, that's over on this side of your screen here. You're going to have a chat bar, I believe, and you can leave any messages in there. So drop those in there. It's looking a little bit dark in my room today. I think I look a little bit like I've got a suntan. Or sunburn, more likely, with my complexion. But as long as you can see me, as long as you can hear me, that's all that's important, because I'm going to shrink my face a little bit down to this side over here when we get really started anyway. So just say hi. If you just come in, leave me a message. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you can hear me. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, doesn't matter where you are, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, and let me know that you're enjoying what we're going to be doing today. And we're going to be looking at how to become a winner today. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about what that actually means and what it might mean to you. And what it might mean to you is different to what it might mean to me or to someone else. So we're going to talk a little bit about what it actually means to be a winner. And when you would class yourself as a winner or not. And then we're going to look at a way that we can actually do that and how we can achieve that goal. So that's what we're going to be looking at over the kind of the next 45 minutes or so. Let me just update this text so that anyone who's joining knows that we're actually going to be starting in about 3 minutes, not 5 minutes. So there we go. So you can see some people are coming in. Hi, welcome. If you've just joined, do say hi. I'm just going to jump over here and have a quick look at the streams going live here, just to make sure I'm not missing any comments, because sometimes the streaming software does have little glitches. It doesn't always catch up with everything that's going on. So I'm just going to have a quick check and make sure everything is going fine there. Okay, it all seems good. Which is absolutely wonderful. So a couple of minutes, we're going to get started at 3 o'clock. I'm going to start bang on time. I know that's unusual for me, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start bang on time at 3 o'clock. And as I say, we're going to be looking at becoming a winner. And while we are waiting for the next couple of minutes, please can you leave me a message and let me know what actually winning means to you. So would you consider yourself a winner if you're finding a certain amount of winning horses? Would you consider you're a winner if you're finding profit? Would you consider yourself a winner if you're finding £5 profit a month, £10 profit a month, or does it need to be more than that? At what point do you consider yourself to be a winner? What point of profit do you consider yourself to be a winner? Or maybe profit's not actually what it's about for you. Maybe it's about finding winners. And actually, if you find X amount of winners a day, if you find 5 winners, 6 winners, 1 winner, 2 winners a day, you consider yourself a winner. Let me know. Leave me a comment now, please, and let me know, what does being a winner mean to you? And I'll tell you what it means to me. To me, it means finding a long-term profit. So that doesn't mean finding a profit today, tomorrow, this week, next week. It means finding a profit this month, next month, this quarter, this year, next year. That's what it means to me. But I know that's not the same for everybody. And we can have this discussion and we can go on with various arguments and counter arguments about what it actually means. But I want to know what it actually means for you. So please leave me a comment, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, it doesn't matter. But please drop me a comment in now and let me know what it means to you. What does winning mean to you? Do you need to be making a profit to consider yourself a winner? And if so, how much profit? And thank you, Ian, for putting that in there. 1 point profit per day would be incredible. But what is 1 point? Is that £1, £5, £10, £100? Let me know. Because I mean, what would £10 a day be a good thing if that was 1 point profit? And if we're making a point profit a day, we can make a point profit a day, but is that also in relation to a bankroll? Would a point profit a day still be incredible, Ian, if you needed 1,000 point bankroll to make it? So that's my question. What does it mean to you to be a winner? And I'm going to go through in just a minute or so. I'm going to actually hide this text now because that is no longer correct and I'm not updating it. So I'm going to hide that text and we're going to start in just a second. And I can see a few people are still coming in. So we're going to give it another 30 seconds or so before we get into this in detail. But we're going to be looking at becoming a winner. And the journey to that, and we're going to start with understanding what it actually means to us. What does winning mean to us? Does it mean profit? Does it mean a certain amount of profit? Does it mean profit in relation to bankroll size? Like, is £10 profit a day enough if you need a £10,000 bankroll to achieve it? That's the question. For me, becoming a winner means long-term profit. Profit this week, this month, next quarter, next year, long term. I'm not really fussed. I actually started that by saying this week, and I shouldn't have, because actually I'm not really fussed about it this week or next week. A month is the absolute minimum, but really this quarter, this year, next year. That's what it means for me. Okay, so if you just come in, I can see we've just had a whole bunch of people jump into the room there. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining this afternoon. I'd love to know whether you like it in the afternoon. This is the first time I've done an afternoon live, so let me know whether you like it this afternoon. We're going to be looking at becoming a winner. Please do hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, and leave a comment. If you're on Facebook, you just add a comment below this live stream. If you're on YouTube, it's over here. You got a chat box. I'm not sure if you're on a mobile device, that's the same, but there'll be a chat box somewhere on YouTube. You can just drop in the chat and say hi and let me know that you're there. So we're looking at becoming a winner. And anytime throughout this, I'd love to know for you what it means to be a winner. For me, it's about long-term profits. For Ian, he'd like 1 point profit a day. And it doesn't matter if he had to have a 1,000-point bankroll. Getting that 1 point profit a day would be wonderful. And I'm assuming that means consistency. Day in, day out, you can make that 1 point. You can grind that 1 point out. If we're talking in poker parlance, so grind that out. So what does becoming a winner mean to you? Does it mean profit? Does it mean a certain strike rate, finding a certain amount of winners? And if so, how many? And if it's profit, how much profit? What does it mean to you? Okay, we're going to look at how we become a winner now. And I'm going to jump in. So I'm going to start by, before I share my screen, I'm just going to start by talking initially about the only way I think most of us can become a winner. Hi, Stephen. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Lovely to see you here. As you know, we're talking about becoming a winner. And if you just joined, please let me know what becoming a winner means to you. So we're going to be looking at how do we become a winner? How do you become a winner, more importantly? And how do you achieve that goal? Now, you'll have heard me say a lot, and I've got something at the end of this. If you stay with me to the end, I've got something at the end that isn't going to be anywhere else. So if we want to be a winner, we got to go back to the basics, and we've got to look at what is it that makes people win. What is it that makes a profit? And for most of us, winning is going to be about profit for the majority of us. So it's the time frame that's going to change. And because you're a follower of the Race Advisor, I'd like to think that you have longer time frames than probably the majority of the betting public. But it's still going to be time frame. And time frames is what we struggle with as humans with betting the most. And when we become a winner, that's what we need to focus on. And you'll have heard me talk a lot about, we've heard me talk a lot recently about foundational strategies. And there's a reason for this. I'm going to tell you how I came up with them and why, more importantly, why I came up with them and why I've been talking about them so much. Robert's just told me there's no sound. No one else has said that yet. Can anybody let me know if they've got sound or not, please? As far as I'm aware, the sound's working. So if someone else can confirm that the sound's working for me, then I will we'll just leave Robert a quick message. Thank you, Jack. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's fine. I'll let Robert try and figure out his sound. So I've been talking a lot about foundational strategy, and that's because I realized, I go back many years. Wonderful. Thank you for letting me know that the sound's all good. So going back many years ago, I realized that I wanted a systematic process. I like systematic processes. I think that's the same for a lot of us. I don't know about you. Let me know. Like, I prefer systematic processes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love form reading, but going back a number of years, I was like, I prefer systematic processes. Why do I prefer them? I prefer them because it's easy on the day. So I can put in time in the evenings. I can put in time here, there. It doesn't actually matter where I can put in that time. I can put in that time when I've got it. I can put in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, a couple of hours. I can do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. It actually doesn't matter when that time goes on, because the systematic process is a process of creating something based on historical data that we can then use in the morning. And when we use it in the morning, because it follows this systematic set of rules, it's quick. And we get those selections and we bet on them, and it's great and it works. Well, the problem is it doesn't really work, not very well. And that's because of a number of factors. Maybe we overfit or backfit the rules, i.e. we are using historic data to find a profit without taking into account that what's happened in the past is not going to necessarily happen in the future. And that comes down to how we actually build that systematic process out. The other reason it doesn't really work very well, and you may have experienced this, is because the edge is very, very small, particularly when we're using information that is available to everybody. Let's think about a classic system. Let me know if you've built a system that contains days since horse last ran. Let me know if you've built a horse racing system or used a horse racing system that considers the last few finish positions, either the last finish position or the last 2 or 3 finish positions. Let me know if you've used or built a horse racing system that takes into account odds ranges. Let me know if you've used or built a horse racing system that takes into account weight, or whether it's a handicap race or not. Ian, yes. Ian, you have, definitely. Excellent. Let me know, anyone else, if you've used or built a horse racing system that contains that information. And the chances are is that most of the people watching this on this live stream today, including myself, are going to have done that. And here's the problem. Everybody uses that. Everybody uses days since last ran. Everybody looks at the last few finish positions of a horse. Everybody knows what the odds are on every horse in the race. This information, there's nothing special about it. There's nothing unique about it. Everybody knows it. And if everybody knows it, the market's already taken it into account. There is no edge to be had. So actually what we're doing by building systems around this sort of information is we're finding tiny, tiny, tiny niche angles within it that have made a profit historically. That makes it very unlikely they're going to make a profit in the future. Because if you haven't got an advantage, if you haven't got a piece of information that is not going to be taken account of in the odds, it's almost impossible to make a profit. It's almost impossible to find an advantage. You've got to be using information that most people haven't got. And when I say most people, I don't mean like a few hundred or a few thousand. I mean like the betting market. Everybody in the betting market knows how long it's been since a horse ran. The bookmakers show it next to the horse's name. Everybody in the betting market knows whether a horse has won on the course or the distance. They show it next to the horse's name. Everybody knows when the last few finish positions of a horse, because they show it at the bookmaker next to the horse's name. You don't even need to go to a specialist website. You don't even need to go to a horse racing website like the Race Advisor or the Racing Post to get that information. The bookmakers tell you, because the bookmakers want you to take it into account. They're trying to give you something, but it doesn't actually affect whether you're going to make a profit, because everybody knows that same piece of information. So the odds have swallowed that in. They've taken it into account. They've booted it out the back. It's no longer useful. Now, when I say it's no longer useful, I mean it's no longer useful to finding a profit. That doesn't mean it's no longer useful to finding a winner. And that's where the big differentiation comes, because it's no longer useful to finding a profit because we can't use it to get an advantage. That doesn't mean that it's not predictive towards finding the winner. So we may want to use it to help us point to the strongest horses in the race. But we're going to have some piece of information that is less well known if we want to get an advantage. John, all of the above, exactly. And so this is where we struggle with systems, because we want to create a set of rules that work, and it just doesn't work. Now, when we look at form reading, let's move across to the other side of the spectrum here. When we look at form reading, it's different. Form reading is all in your mind. It uses your brain, no one else's, just yours. That's unique. Nobody else has your brain. In my case, that's probably a very good thing, but nobody else has your brain. And that means it's unique. That gives you an advantage. This is why it's actually easier for most people, if they had the discipline, it's easier for most people to find a profit form reading than building a system. Because you've got an inbuilt advantage in your own brain. Nobody else is going to analyze the form in exactly the same way as you. They're not going to make the same decisions. They're going to come to a slightly different opinion on the ability of a horse. And if we look at what makes us winners, it's our ability to assess the risk of a horse losing a race and whether the odds are reasonable enough. So form readers have the use of their brain. That makes it unique. The problem with form reading is it takes time. And time is something that we don't have very much of. We want to reduce the amount of time. And here's the weird thing. Okay, here's the weird thing. Most of us want to reduce the amount of time it takes to make the thing we desire the most. So you want to make profit from betting. That's one of the things we desire the most when we're looking at horse racing. Yet we want it to be as quick as possible. We want to maybe spend 5 minutes finding something that's going to make us a living. Well, that time, that doesn't make sense. How can we do that? Half an hour, an hour. Of course, we want to streamline it as much as we can, but we still got to spend some time on the thing that we want to achieve, whatever it is, whether it's baking a cake or finding horse racing winners. But we've got to want to spend some time on it. And this is one of the reasons tipsters don't work for most people, because actually most bettors are looking for that profit, whether it's £10 a month, £100 a month, £1,000 a month, whatever it might be. But most bettors aren't prepared to spend any time to find that profit. And that's why most of us don't want to do form reading, because form reading takes time. And it not only takes time, it takes time to learn, it takes time to implement. And even when you're good at form reading, you can be spending 20, 30, 40 minutes, even an hour on a single race. And the issue then probably isn't time. If we pull back a little bit, the issue actually becomes the payment we're getting for our time. Because if we don't have a big bankroll, if we're betting in £2, £5, £10, £20, even £50, then actually spending an hour per race means we're not going to make a huge amount back at the end of the year, because we're going to lose some of those bets. We've got this huge bankroll. Even if we're placing £30 bets, we're only going to be betting on a few horses a day, because it takes 30 minutes to an hour to read form. So we're only going to be betting on a few horses a day. So actually the end result is, yes, we might make, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 a year once we're practiced at it. But let's say it takes us 6 months to a year to become practiced enough to make a profit. And then so it's taken us 2 years, and we're still spending maybe 3 or 4 hours a day to make that 3, 4, 5 grand. That's actually the issue. That's the problem. It's actually the hourly rate sucks. So when I realized this, I realized that we needed, or that I needed, I should say, a way to combine the best of both worlds. That's just how it is. And Robin, I'm sorry, I use my hands when I talk. That's just how I am. I apologize for that. But I'm going to move over to a screen in a minute. So the the thing is that I needed to find a way to combine systematic processes like system building and the benefits of form reading. So getting that uniqueness and that advantage in that's why I invented foundational strategies, going back a long time, because it gives us the best of both. It gives us that foundational starting point. So we've got an advantage, and we've got an advantage using a systematic process. And admittedly, we use information that isn't available to the general public. I mean, as you'll know, if you're an RA Pro member, we use information that's not available to the general public. That's how we can get that base advantage systematically. But that advantage, as it is with most systematic processes, is quite small. Anything from maybe a 1% advantage to a 10% advantage at the top end. I think actually we've got a foundational strategy at the moment that's got a 14% advantage, but usually we sit around 4 to 6% advantages with an advantage on a foundational strategy. And that gives us that starting point. We've got that. But now we need to read the form. We need to spend that 3, 4, 5 minutes on each of the contenders, because that's giving us our unique perspective. And it's that unique perspective that enables you to become a winner. And it enables you to become a winner really very fast, much faster than ever before. So Jack's just asked, how do you get the info that isn't available to anyone? Okay. So how do we get that information? One of the ways is RA Pro. I mean, we have possibly one of the best databases that is available for UK and Irish horse racing. We have literally hundreds of pieces of information per horse, in the form of ratings that measure different aspects of a horse's performance. That's one way of getting that information. And that's what we use to create foundational strategies, or that's what I use to create foundational strategies. So let me show you how this concept works and why it's so good. So let me just jump over here to, apologies, I've just disappeared. No, I'll get it right in a second. There we go. I got it. Jumping around. So we take the systematic processes using information that is not generally available, using angles that's not generally available to create contenders. The contenders show us the strongest horses in the race very quickly. And ideally, these contenders have an advantage straight out of the box between 1 and 10%. But usually we aim to sit between kind of 4 to 6%, roughly speaking. And then we spend a few minutes on each of those contenders. And when you start doing this, it might take you 5, it might take you 6, it might take you 7 minutes. Heck, it might take you 10 minutes. I don't know. When you first start, it's going to take you longer, like anything. When you first start, it's going to take you longer. But within a few days, if you do this every day, you'll be looking at these contenders in a couple of minutes. You don't need any more time because you know these are the strong horses. And critically, you know they've got an advantage. And then we just ask ourselves a single question. A single question. Has this horse proven it can win or race well under similar conditions? That's the only question we ask. That's the only question we now need to answer, because they've already got an advantage. They already make a small profit. They already make a return on investment. But we now are narrowing down. We're using the uniqueness that we have available to us, which is our own brains, which is your brain, which no one else will be able to replicate. And that does two things. That enables us to strip out the horses that systematically we're not able to find, at least systematically with ease. If you've got a team of statisticians and you've got people at all the tracks measuring stuff, that's a different thing. But for most of us, we don't have that. So we can filter out those horses that clearly haven't shown to run well under similar conditions. And occasionally we'll get it wrong. That happens. But as long as we get it right more often, we'll increase our advantage. And here's the kicker. We'll increase our advantage in a way that nobody else can replicate. And that's the winner. And that's when you become a winner. When you increase the advantage in a way nobody else can replicate. At that point, you're done. You've succeeded. So this is how we go to becoming a winner. And that's how you go to that 1 point a day, although getting 1 point every day is very unlikely. It's very difficult, but consistently, but over a week, a month, a couple of months, a quarter, 6 months, a year, that's how we do it. And we do it and we get quicker and quicker and quicker at the process. You know, I mean, those of you who are RA Pro members will know that we've got 7 foundational strategies in there at the moment. I personally use 6 of them every day. It takes me about 45 minutes. Those of you who have taken up to get the contenders for the foundational strategy number 1, again, there's maybe 5 of them a day, 7 of them a day. I use them myself every single day. You take them and you use the FMFR technique on them. It takes a few minutes for each horse. And every day that you do that, you'll get faster and faster. You'll start getting better at stripping out the horses that can't perform well. You'll get better at knowing the risk that is there on the horses that you are following and whether the odds are suitable or not. And no one can take that away from you because that advantage is you. You are the advantage. Your brain is the advantage. That is unique to you. Nobody can take that away. That edge is going to be very, very difficult to erode. Okay, so let me give you an example of how it works. Jack, that's a great question. This is a hard thing to do, though. Is this a hard thing to do? And I can see why you would think this is a hard thing to do. It's difficult to do. Surely, how do we find this? It doesn't have to be. That's what the FMFR technique that I teach people is all about. It takes 4 things to check. And I'm going to show you right now the 4 things. I'm going to show you now the four steps. And this is one of the videos that I'll share. I share with both RA Pro members and those of you who've just getting the contenders for foundational strategy number 1. Is how we can do this in 4 steps in about 5 to 10 minutes when you start. And then the better you get, you'll get it down to a couple of minutes per horse because we're looking for something simple, okay? Because we know the horses have an advantage. Now we're just checking that they are, or they have shown they can run well today. So let's take a look. Now I'm going to take a look at tomorrow because tomorrow's racing, because today there were no contenders for the foundational strategy number 1. We don't often get that. We average somewhere between 5 and 7 a day. And actually on Saturday there were loads. Never can tell. So I'm going to start tomorrow. And I'm just going to choose one of them. And there are win contenders and there are place contenders. Hang on, let me just find one. So one of those contenders tomorrow is going to be in the 110 at Bangor on D. Okay. And it's Snow Leopardess. Now you can see that the odds haven't come in properly yet, so we can ignore the Betfair odds for this. Obviously, if we are looking at a race today, let me just show you. If we're looking at a race today, what's the time? It's 3:25. So if we were to be looking at the 3:30 at Hamilton, you can see we've got the odds in here properly. But because this is tomorrow, it may be that we haven't yet updated them. When the races are tomorrow, our software updates them slightly slower, the further away they are. But either way, the odds obviously are, oh, is it am I on the right day there? Oh, no, oh, yeah, there we go. The odds obviously aren't quite right because they're all too low. But that's okay. So Snow Leopardess, because actually this doesn't matter because we don't need the odds for what I'm about to show you. Snow Leopardess is a contender. So I'm just going to open up Snow Leopardess's racing history. Now, obviously, I'm going to say RA Pro is best for the racing history, but you don't need RA Pro to use this FMFR technique. You can do it with anyone. Obviously, I would say RA Pro is the best, but if you're just getting the contenders for strategy number 1, you can do this on any website as well once you've got those contenders. Although, obviously, with RA Pro, you get access to all of the other tools, not just the history of the horse. But for this, you just need the history of the horse. Okay, so I'm going to open the history of Snow Leopard S. We know Snow Leopard S is a contender. Okay, and before I jump into Snow Leopard S's past racing history, and you're going to see how quick this is, I just want to remind you, or to point you to look at the fact this is a chase turf race. You can see that here. It's a class 3 race. You can see that there. The ground is good. We've got that there. The distance is 3 miles. And the prize money is £7,000. Okay, those are kind of the 4 or 5 key pieces of information about this race. I'm not getting into the fact it's a novice race. I'm not getting into the fact anything else. Those 4 pieces of information: race type, class, ground, and distance. Okay. So now, let's jump over into Snow Leopard S's history. Just make that a bit bigger for me here. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to check. You can see that. Okay, you've got all of that there. And here's the thing. When we say race type, class, distance, going, we're looking for horses. We're looking for conditions similar to the one that this horse is going to race in tomorrow. And I was going to say cat there for a minute because it's Snow Leopard. We're looking for conditions similar to what this horse is going to race in tomorrow. We're just looking for evidence this horse has run well in them. So we're going to start with chase races. And you'll notice there are no chase races here. We've got hurdle, 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 national hump flat, national hump flat, national hump flat. What do we do when there is nothing similar? We go to the closest we can. We don't get stressed about it. We don't freak out. We don't worry about it. Look, the horse hasn't raced under a chase race before. Nothing we can do about that. So we make a note in our minds. It doesn't have to be specific. There's no calculation to it. It is just, this horse hasn't raced in a chase race before, but it has done a lot of hurdle races. We got an element of risk here because it's never been in a chase race. That means we want slightly better odds in our mind. We're not putting a number on that. We're just, in our minds, we're going, okay, we want slightly better odds. Nearest that we can do is hurdle. So we do hurdle. That's fine. Let's not stress out about it. Has it run well in the hurdle race? Yes, it's run well. I mean, it's 2 here, straight off. So yeah, it's run well in a hurdle race. What about the class 3? Has it run well in a hurdle race at class 3? Well, no, it hasn't. This class 3 race up here, it was beaten 9 lengths. This class 2 race, it was beaten 51 lengths. But hold on, it won a class 1 race by 4 lengths. But then look at the date. Always keep an eye on the date. 2017. That's a long time ago. So we just want to bear in mind how long ago it was. Recently, 2019, the answer is no. That's a bit of a concern. Next, what about the distance? Well, the first thing we notice is it hasn't run in many 3-mile races. In fact, the last one at Doncaster is the only 3-mile race it ran, and it was beaten 9 lengths. Yes, it came second. Second place doesn't really mean anything. It came second, but it was 9 lengths behind the winner. That's miles away. Like, that's nowhere near the frame. That was not a good race, even though it came second. That was not a good race. So, no, the horse has not run a good race over a similar distance. The horse has run a good race on hurdles, but not recently. The horse has won a good race over the same or higher class, but not recently. What about the ground condition? The ground was good. We look at the good ground down here. Again, the horse has run well over good ground, but it hasn't been in one of those races recently, so we can't really assess that. But we know it likes good ground. See what we've just done there? We've just built up a picture of how this horse is likely to perform. Now, let me just open this horse. That's it. So the summary of that is this horse hasn't had a good race since 2017. Not looking quite so good now. Okay. It does like the ground condition. We know it likes the ground condition. We've got no evidence it likes the distance at all, not even going back to 2016. There's no evidence it likes 3 miles. We don't have any evidence it likes chase races or can compete in a chase race, but it has done well in a hurdle race, but not recently. Not since 2017. And the same goes for class. There is evidence it has run in higher class races and done well, but not for over 2 years. So it's not looking that strong. It's really not looking that strong at all. I'm just going to pull the market up for you on Betfair. And the market is actually saying exactly what it's saying on RA Pro race cards. Let me just share it with you here. So we haven't got a market at the moment. So in fact, let me just open. If it's up, it might not be up yet. We'll have a quick look. Tomorrow's horse racing at 110 at Bangor. No, there are no odds up with the bookmakers yet either. They're all on SP. So we don't know what the market's going to say. We haven't really got any idea. But I would need pretty high odds. Let's just come back over here to the race. I would want pretty high odds on this horse. At a glance, there is nothing really strong standing out for this horse. So for me, I would probably skip on and move on to the next one. That's it. We're done. We've just used that one unique thing we all have to make that decision. And that took about 7 minutes while I was explaining and talking through it. There is nothing more complicated to it than that. Honestly, once you have that foundational strategy, once you have contenders that you know have an advantage, this is all we need to do. This is why I came up with foundational strategies for myself. I invented them for myself because I wanted a systematic way to be able to find horses quickly in the morning, but I needed something that was unique to me. I needed a way to gain extra advantage that was unique to me, that nobody else could take, that wouldn't be eroded over time in the market. And the only thing that's there, without that room of statisticians and millions of calculations and people at the track, is up here. And it's the same for you. It's exactly the same for you. This is why this works for anybody. Okay, cool. So if you've got any questions on that, let me know, because this is how we go to becoming a winner. So John's just asked, do we know if there was a reason for the 20-month layoff between second and third most recent races? That's a very good question, John. At a glance, no. We could obviously dig in further. This is also the beauty of this technique. This is the beauty of using foundational strategies, is that as we get better at them, as we use our FMFR form reading method more, and we get quicker at it, we start asking other questions. So maybe it's only taken us 2 minutes and we go, actually, maybe there was a wind up here. And we might spend the time to look into it. If we've got the time. We don't have to, but if we've got the time, we might spend the time to look into it. And every time we do something like that, even if it's once a month, maybe on a, one weekend a month, we spend a bit longer. And once a month, that adds to our expertise of horse racing. That adds to our ability to become winning bettors for longer and longer. And that means that we get paid while we learn, which is the game. We want to get a profit as quickly as possible. Then we want to become better and better and better at finding that profit. But we want to keep making the profit while we're doing that. We want to earn while we learn, which is how this is completely designed. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions on it, please do let me know. Obviously, if you haven't registered with RA Pro yet, then please do go ahead and register. Or if you just want to get foundational strategies, let me just drop a link in for you if you would like to see any of them. In the meantime, please ask me any questions here that we have that you have about this concept and how we use this uniqueness, because this is what will turn you into a winner. This is how you become a winner. And if you define what winning means to you, like Ian said at the beginning, 1 point a day. Now, I would say to you, Ian, I would say 1 point a day is great, but maybe flip that over and go for 30 points a month. Or even, if you can, 90 points a quarter, because that gives you time. That means we're not focusing on the short term. We're focusing on the long term, but the long term has the same goal. So we're not going for 1 point a day now. We're going for 90 points a quarter. That's what we want to make. But it doesn't actually matter whether we make 170 points in the first week of that quarter, and then we lose 80 points over the next 3 months. At the end of the 3 months, we've still made that 90 points. It's the same. The end result is the same, but the framing of it in our mind gives us time. And we need longevity with horse racing. We need time. We need to be looking at things over a bigger expanse of time. So if you want to join RA Pro, you can join it there with the link that I've just dropped in. Or if you'd just like to see what these foundational contenders, these foundational strategies are all about, I'll drop a second link in where you can just see what they're all about. But we have, let me show you. So inside here, we'll have our foundational strategy section, and there are currently 7. And actually, I have another 3 waiting to come out, but I'm not going to bring them all out immediately. I am currently just finalizing some of the testing. A couple of them have been live for a while for me, and I want to make sure that they're absolutely solid before we put them out. So it will probably be a number of weeks. And when the system builder is released for RA Pro folk, when the system builder is released, we're going to have a feature where you'll be able to click on any of the foundational strategies and add them immediately into your system builder, so you can get the selections or the contenders from the ones that you want each day straight away. So you can get them specifically just for the ones that you want. Okay, and this is kind of how they work. You see, we've got the foundational strategy number 1. The win market has a 7% advantage. The place market ones have a 1% advantage. And we expect a 29% strike rate on the win and an 88% strike rate on the place. Number 2 is totally different. It's win only. It's got a 4% advantage. And this is out of the box. And we expect a 37% win rate. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you start using the FMFR method, to form read them, you're going to expect the strike rate to drop. Okay, now that may feel like it's going against the grain a little bit, but you're going to expect the strike rate to actually drop. And with the drop of strike rate will come the increase on return on investment, will come the increase of advantage. Because 9 times out of 10, a drop in strike rate will give you the increase in advantage. Because we generally find the advantage in the slightly higher odds selections, and by focusing on them more, by using the FMFR method, you will end up selecting slightly higher odds horses more often than not. So you can expect to see the strike rates on whatever process you use drop, and the advantage and profit to increase. Now, there is that 1 in 10 times where it's going to go the other way. There is that 1 in 10 times where actually you're going to manage to get an increase in its strike rate and an increase in return and advantage. And when that happens, that's just awesome. But that's kind of the 1 in 10. The 9 out of 10 times we implement the FMFR method, and we can see a slight decrease in strike rate and an increase. That's why I say with foundational strategies, you get up to a strike rate of. You get up to a strike rate of, because those are for the contenders. We know the contenders are going to get that strike rate. But once we implement the FMFR method, which I go through in step-by-step detail, it's a kind of about, I think it's a 10 or 15 minute video where I explain every single step that you need to take one by one. It's a totally methodical process. And once you go through that process, obviously the strike rate for you is going to vary because you're using your brain. That means you have your unique advantage because you are using the one thing that you have that is different to everybody else. Ed's just said that Butcher said in that race is the one for him. I'm assuming, Ed, that you mean, let me just get back to the race. Where am I? You're talking about tomorrow's race, are we? The 110 tomorrow. Here we go. Let's open that up. The Butcher said. Ed is on the Butcher said tomorrow. If you're on one of the other horses in that race tomorrow, let me know. One thing I won't be on is I definitely won't be on Snow Leopardess. But I know Foundational Strategy 1 tomorrow has another 3 contenders for the win market. And it's got, I'll tell you in a minute. Tomorrow we're starting to pick up in terms of business again. And in the place market, it's going to have 3 contenders in the place market as well tomorrow. That may change, that may fluctuate, because some of the information that we use is slightly dynamic. But so that may fluctuate, which is one of the reasons I don't look at it until the morning. But you can look at it the night before. There isn't often changes between night before and morning of, but I tend to prefer the morning of. That's just my personal preference and how my day runs. By the time I've got my kids into bed, I'm kind of exhausted, so I prefer to get up and do it in the morning. Okay, so are there any other questions about what we've gone through today? About anything to do with the Race Advisor or horse racing in general? If you've got any questions, please drop them in now. If you're on Facebook, leave a comment, let me know. If you're on YouTube, it's over on, I always get it wrong, it's on this side, I believe, of the screen. There's like a chat area. So if you've got any questions about what we've been going through, please do let them in now. There's if you want to get access to Race Advisor Pro, then please use this link here. You can come and join RA, join that pro community and get access to all of our tools. If you just want to see what foundational strategies are about for the first time ever, and only until Tuesday, midnight tomorrow, you can actually also get access to the contenders from Foundational Strategy number 1. Not all of the 6 or the 7 that our pro members get, obviously. And if you're a pro member, you already get this as well as all of the others and all of the other tools and things. But if you want to see what foundational strategies are all about and kind of how they work and what the FMFR method is, you can get access until midnight tomorrow on that link there. So if you're new to horse racing, I would suggest that you join initially on Foundational Strategy 1 contenders, because RA Pro membership will give you access to all of our software. It will give you access to all of our software, all of our foundational strategies, all of our training, and there's quite a lot in there. There's a lot of powerful tools. There's a lot of things that you can do. So if you're new to horse racing, I recommend that you actually start with just getting the Foundational Strategy 1 contenders. And when you get that on that link there that you can see, when you get that, you'll get the contenders for that one strategy each day and access to the FMFR method for analyzing the form very quickly and making the decision. Start there. And then when you're comfortable with that, come back and become a pro member, get access to all of them. The system builder will be coming out in a number of weeks where you'll actually be able to create your own. I'll be teaching our pro members how to build their own foundational strategies so that you can literally create unlimited, and I mean unlimited, strategies, foundational strategies that have an advantage. And then you've got the double edge because you know how to create them. You can use ours to shortcut or mine to shortcut, but you'll also know how to create your own, and you'll have that FMR technique. So that's the way I would recommend it. If you're more experienced, if you're a more experienced horse racing user, you might want to just come straight in to become a pro member, get access to everything, the software, the tools, all the training, and I've started now to release in the members area for pro members. I've started to release training to horse racing success. The first video is up there now, which is based on the FMFR technique. There are more coming over the next few weeks, which I'm super excited about. So if there's any questions on any of this, foundational strategies, becoming a winner, what it actually may mean to you to become a winner, what is that? When do you feel that you are a winner? Let me know. If you want to have any questions on foundational strategies and why that works and how I invented them, ask away. If you've got any questions about horse racing, let me know that as well. So please, I love questions. Any question that you have, and it doesn't matter if the question is, has a horse got 4 legs? I really do not mind any questions. And I'll tell you why I love questions so much, and I love answering them, is because when I get asked questions, I learn. Because I don't always know the answer. Sometimes I have to go and figure it out. Like, I don't have all the answers. I know what I do. I know how I work. And I know how I teach others to find horse racing success. But that's not the only way. There are other ways. And actually, I've got an email sitting in my inbox at the moment. I've got a reply to that came in over the weekend. Someone talking about the PR odds, one of our tools for pro members, saying, I've noticed this and this and this. What do you think? And I'm like, do you know what? I'd never even looked at it like that. But it's genius. And I've done a bit of research. And I'll get back to him later today and say, yeah, you got something there. Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I love questions. And it doesn't matter to me how kind of silly you may think the question is. There is no such thing, because when I get asked those questions, it takes me right back, and I go, actually, do you know, it's good to step back sometimes. It's good to take that step back and re-look from the ground up, from the foundations up. Actually, am I doing something that I shouldn't be? And sometimes I found that I have kind of, it's a bit like driving. You've driven for, when you first learn, you're doing everything. You got your hands at, the 10 o'clock and the 2 o'clock, and you're steering like this, and then they slowly move down, and then it becomes 1, and then you kind of you got a couple of fingers on the side, and then you move off the gear stick, and you get more and more relaxed because you become more comfortable. And then someone says something and you're like, oh, shit. Or someone drives in front of you and you're like, oh, now I need to hold at the 10 and 2 in the car. It's the same with horse racing. Someone asks you a question, you pull back and you're like, whoa, actually, what am I doing? You're absolutely right. Or actually, the question is good. No, but I've also slipped on what I'm doing. So any questions are good questions. Ian, are there any types of races that you avoid? This is a great question. Do you know what? This is a question that comes up, and I'm planning a webinar very soon in the next kind of a few weeks. I'm planning on holding a webinar, and I've been thinking about some of the questions, and this question comes up a lot, Ian. So are there any types of races to avoid? And my personal thing is no. Why would you want to avoid a particular race type? Now, if you've got a preference for race, like I as you may know, I personally love all-weather sprints. Like 5-6 furlong all-weather sprints, I love them. That's my favorite. So I will always go to those first. But should I not look at novice races? No. There's a horse that will win a novice race. There's going to be a bunch of horses in every novice race that are going to be contenders or stronger than others. Why would I want to only focus on handicap races and non-handicap races? Now, that doesn't mean the same approach will work for all sets of race conditions. So the FMFR method will work for any contenders that you've got. As long as that foundational strategy finds the contenders is solid and they already have that base foundation advantage, you can use the FMFR method with anything. That's kind of a broad spectrum brush. You can use that technique with any contenders. It doesn't matter where they come from or the type of race or the conditions. When it comes to building the foundational strategies out, obviously different pieces of information will give us advantages for different types of race conditions, but there isn't a reason specifically to avoid it. So when someone says actually there's no point in betting in like races with less than 7 runners, there is no logic to that in my mind. There's no point in betting in lower class races is one I hear a lot. Surely you don't want to bet in lower class races because the horses aren't as good. Well, in my experience, lower class races are a better place to bet because most bettors, for some reason, don't want to bet in them. Yet, if the horses aren't as good, the theory goes that if the horses aren't as good, they're less predictable. Maybe they're just not good horses. Maybe they're just not as good. That doesn't make them less predictable necessarily. What it does mean is if there is a good horse in there, it's going to be much easier to spot than a race that's got 18 good horses, like a class 1 race with 12 great horses in it. That's going to be pretty bloody difficult to decipher, as we know from festivals. Give me a class 6 race with 2 horses that are actually decent and the rest are pretty horrendous. I'll take that one every day of the week. Thank you. It's much easier. And to top it all off, most people don't want to bet on it. So the odds aren't as there's more advantage to be gained in the odds. So that would be my very long answer to that question. Let me put this up here. Is there a specific type of race? So Daniel's asking, is there a specific type of race that is easier to bet on? I tend to focus on maidens and novice races over jumps on flats. I think you mean over jumps and flats, Daniel, let me know, as it doesn't take so long to look at the form compared to handicappers. Okay, interesting question. This is an example of why there is no one size fits all here. So I would say yes. If there is less form to look at, it is clearer. In my experience, maidens and novices, you want to take a huge amount of emphasis off the markets. So actually, you want to be betting really close to the off. In my personal experience, because the markets are by far the biggest indicator of the strong horses in those races. And I in maidens and novices, personally, I will follow the market really quite closely. So if I've got a horse that I think is really strong and it's like a massive outsider in the market and it's a maiden and novice race, I won't bet on it, because I'll be like, I'm probably missing something. I don't know something, because there's not enough data for me to be comfortable. Whereas the market is going to have that information, because we've got connections and training, everyone betting into that market, the bookies, and all of that information is going into the market. So the market's going to be accurate, more accurate. But this is what I come back to, because it doesn't take so long to look at form. Because if you've got a horse that's got 1, 2, 3 races, that's quick, isn't it, Daniel? That's exactly right. It's quicker. It doesn't take the 30 minutes, the hour. That's why we must use foundational strategies and the FMFR technique, because the foundational strategies gives us the short list of contenders to start with on the day across all races, whether it's 1, 2, or 7. We get that short list of contenders. Then we use the FMFR technique, and you can see it doesn't matter whether we've got 5 pass races or 35 pass races. It doesn't matter, because we can then use that to just look at that short list of horses. And because we know in comparison to the field, these horses are strong. We know in comparison to the field, they have an advantage. What we want to confirm is that they have proven to perform well over similar conditions. That's what we're looking to actually confirm. And suddenly, those handicap races won't take you as long, because you've already found the strongest horses. Okay, I hope that answers that. But is there a specific type of race that is easier to bet on? Not really. It comes down to personal preference. Some people love handicap races because they're looking for the handicapper to get it wrong, and they find that easier. Some people like yourself, Daniel, find that harder because there's more variables, there's more things to consider. Ian, the new videos. So you'll find the new videos will all be, at the moment, it's just the one based around the FMFR technique. But if you come to your dashboard and click on Horse Racing Success, and this is for RA Pro members, you'll see the FMFR method. If you're joining just on the foundational contenders, so you're not getting RA Pro, you just want to see if foundational strategies are for you, and you're getting the contenders from strategy number 1. You will also be able to get access to this FMFR video. You don't, I'll give you a separate link just to this video, but it's in there, Ian. There will be more videos coming into here that will just be for RA Pro members over the coming weeks. I have the entire framework for horse racing success. We'll actually have videos for it. There's going to be quite a few coming in here, and they will be dropped into the order that I recommend you watching them in. But obviously, I'm doing the most important ones first, and then we will drop the rest in there. And also, again, if you're an RA Pro member, you'll notice that I have changed all the training videos as well. We've nearly finished them. By the end of this week, they will all be finished. And they are now micro content videos. So each video is about a minute long. And these are just designed purely to show you where pieces of information are within your software, within your tools. So if you want to find something, you can find it really quickly. They're about 30 seconds to a minute long, each designed for that, because the horse racing success training is coming in, and obviously you've already got those 7 foundational strategies in there anyway. Okay. So if you want, so for RA Pro is, Jack's just asked how much it costs to join. So if you want to join RA Pro is now a £127 joining fee and then £47 a month. When the system builder is released in a few weeks, that will actually increase again, but anyone who is a member will be locked in and grandfathered at the rate that they've joined at. The foundational strategy number 1, so the contenders just for foundational strategy number 1 are £27 a month, and they're designed to get you started, to get you up and running, to show you how foundational strategies work, how that process works. You get access to the FMFR method, and I'll send you the contenders for strategy number 1 every day as well. And then once you're comfortable with that, once you're getting used to it and you're familiar with the process, you can then, if you want to, upgrade and move over to RA Pro to get all of the 7 foundational strategies plus any future ones that we release, as well as all of our software and analysis tools and simulators and a whole host of features like real racing as well. Those are the current costs on it at the moment. And someone's just asked as well, what are the links? Let me grab you the links again. So if you would like to join RA Pro, the link is just here. It's raceadvisor.co.uk, and I've dropped that in the chat for you. It's raceadvisor.co.uk/join RA. And if you just want to try out foundational strategy, see if it's for you before you become a pro member, then it's a little bit longer, the URL, but it is raceadvisor.co.uk /foundational strategy 1 contenders. Okay, if there are any more questions, please let me know now. I'll wait a couple more minutes, see if there's any more questions, and then I will answer them if there are, and then we'll wrap up until the next live. So, okay, there's that link there. Sorry, someone's just asked if we can have the other link back up. Here is the other link, raceadvisor.co.uk /join RA. If you want to become part of the pro member community, when you join the pro member community, you will get access to all of the foundational strategies, as well as all of our software. So I will show you how you can start using the software to actually analyze races on your own, as well as using the foundational strategies if you want to. You'll then also get any updates, any new strategies we release, the system builder when it comes out. We have one of the best, I'm probably biased, but we have one of the best horse racing tools, I believe, in existence. If you want to start by seeing whether the foundational strategy approach works for you, and I know it will work for you, then you can try it with Foundational Strategy 1 Contenders, raceadvisor.co.uk, Foundational Strategy 1 Contenders, and upgrade to RA Pro in the future. When you join RA Pro, you will be locked in at the price that you join at. As I say, it will go up when the system builder is released in a few weeks. So are there any more questions before we finish off for the night? For the afternoon? I'd love to know if you prefer the afternoon sessions. Often I do Facebook Lives in the evening at around 8 o'clock. I thought today we'd try something different. I thought we'd try about 3. So let me know if how that time has worked for you. I'd love to know how that time has worked for you. I've got something really, really special that I'm going to be releasing in the next few weeks as well. So keep an eye on your emails for that. I'm really excited about it. I'm putting the finishing touches on it. So please do let me know about that. Ian, will I do another live on how to use RA Pro to analyze races like the jump in, jump out method? Yes, I love doing those. So what Ian's asking is, there's a strategy inside the members area. It's an older strategy now, and it's very much kind of like how we trade horses. So if you've ever done trading on sports, and particularly on horse racing, you'll know that you kind of look at the race just before it goes off, and you kind of look at the markets, and then you jump in and you do your trades, and then you jump out and you exit your trades. Well, we have a strategy that's very similar, but not trading. So if we've got 5 minutes or 10 minutes, how can we, and we fancy a bet, how can we look at a race in a very, very short time frame and see if there is a bet that we can have that we're going to have an advantage on? So that's the strategy that Ian's asking there. So yes, Ian, I will do a Facebook Live. I'll make a note of that on that approach and how we do it. Or I might do that in the, I might actually look at that in the Pro Members private training session that we do each month. So on the 4th week of every month, Ian, there is a Pro Members private training session where we look at one specific thing, either strategy or feature or element. So I might use that for this month's Pro Members private training session as well, and that's always the 4th Tuesday of the month in the evenings. Most likely that will be the 4th Tuesday of the month in the evening, and then that's done via private Zoom room. So absolutely no problem to look at that. With no more questions, I will say thank you very, very much for joining me this evening. It's been great. It's been absolutely great to speak with you, to be here. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. Have a wonderful evening, and a great week. And keep an eye out on your inboxes for something that's coming out very soon in the next few weeks. Take care, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next Facebook Live. Thank you very much indeed, and have a wonderful evening.